A somber day for Palm Beach County family, friends, law enforcement, and lawmakers gathering today for the memorial service of 3 motor deputies killed in a crash. Deputy Dan Diaz, Deputy Butch Waller, and Corporal Luis Paez. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for WPBF 25 News at 4. I'm Felicia Rodriguez.
And I'm Shane Wright. Deputy Butch Waller and Corporal Luis Paez both died last month after being struck by a vehicle along Southern Boulevard. Deputy Dan Diaz died a few days later at St. Mary's Medical Center.
Today's memorial wrapped up just after 1 o'clock this afternoon at the amphitheater at the South Florida Fairgrounds.
We are bringing you team coverage this afternoon and all evening long with Felicia. First of all, you were there for the ceremony. I was watching on TV, and you could just feel the somberness coming from that area. What was it like being there?
It was such an emotional service, an emotional day for all the law enforcement presence that was there and for their families, of course. The day began with the funeral procession to the amphitheater in West Palm Beach. The PBSO Honor Guard led the procession. Several high-profile people were there as well, including President-elect Donald Trump. Nearly everyone who spoke mentioned that the 3 deputies were all honored to be part of the team riding in Trump's motorcade during his trips to the area. Also in attendance, Congressman Brian Mast. He spoke fondly of all 3 men. Mast gave the initial remarks for the service, then 2 people spoke for each of the 3 deputies.
Yeah, for Corporal Luis Paez, Major Paul Verchota spoke first. He remembers Paez as someone who was dedicated to his law enforcement duties, but also had other passions as well.
Luis was a dedicated member of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for over 36 years, but he was a lot more than that. His chosen profession did not define him as a person. He had passions and hobbies. Beyond his PBSO career, and he was really looking forward to the day when he could retire and pursue those passions full time.
Deputy Chris Farron spoke on the life of Deputy Waller. Numerous times he referred to Waller as his best friend, but he also noted nothing was more important to Waller than his wife Denise, whom Waller referred to as my princess.
I have always put my work above my family and myself. Which somehow found that balance that I have never found. Denise, you were his priority.
And the daughter of Deputy Diaz spoke passionately about the man who raised her as a single father. Alexandra Diaz said that there were many things that she will take with her throughout her life that she learned from her father.
Another thing about my dad that I think I'll take with me forever is that he never accepted failure as an option. My dad could try something a million times. He wouldn't stop until he succeeded. He would carry that on with me. He would never let me give up on something until I succeeded. He persevered no matter what. And that was something that I always admired about him, was his strength, his perseverance, his ability to never give up.
She gave such a beautiful and moving tribute to her father today. And this was an occasion where more than just family and friends were present. We want to bring in our Terry Parker now, who also sat in for the ceremony with me today.
Yeah, Terry, several high-profile individuals were there, including President-elect Donald Trump.
Right, and having President-elect Donald Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis, and other dignitaries here at the funeral for the fallen deputies meant a great deal to the families as well as to the community. President-elect Trump appeared on stage right before the ceremony began, standing for a moment and looking at the crowd. His son Eric was right next to him, then Governor Ron DeSantis. Also in attendance at the somber memorial were Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez and Attorney General Ashley Moody. And Congressman Brian Mast spoke eloquently of the lives lost in service. As the caskets were brought into the bagpipes playing, Trump saluted in honor of the 3 deputies who faithfully rode in his motorcade for years. Some retired law enforcement officers, members of the Blue Knights, tell us it signified support for what they all do.
I would have been surprised if he wasn't there because this is his home state, his home county, and they escort him all over the place. The governor being there was nice too.
And Secret Service did keep a tight eye on security, trying to make sure that President-elect Trump was safe as he sat on stage for the entire 2-hour service And we will have much more on what people thought of his appearance and more hearing from the other dignitaries who were in attendance. Felicia, back to you.
All right, Terry, thank you. Law enforcement officers from all across the state came to the fairgrounds today to honor those 3 fallen deputies.
Our Jade Jarvis is live outside the Expo Center where a reception wrapped up just a few hours ago. Jade, what did you hear from them?
Well, Shane and Felicia, some of those law enforcement officers came from as far away as California, according to Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, showing truly how much of an impact this has had, not just on our community, but also the entire nation. We spoke with some members of the Patriot Guard, made up of members of former law enforcement. Their role was to hold flags along the procession route, honoring all 3 of the fallen deputies. One of those former officers is Mike McLaughlin, who served on the NYPD for over 20 years. He talked to us about the grief that all too often becomes a part of the job.
I had my share of funerals. I lost friends, especially after 9/11. We were going to funerals sometimes 2, 3 a day. So what happened to those 3 deputies was a tragic incident. I know that for a fact these guys have been on the road. We interacted with them. They provided escorts for us when we did different military stuff. And just to see them lose their lives in that fashion is really tragic.
And coming up at 5 and 6, you'll hear from more members of the Patriot Guard and their tribute to those fallen deputies here today and what that means to them. Reporting live at the South Florida Fairgrounds, Jade Jarvis, WPBF 25 News.
Jay, thank you. And even people who are not related to those deputies or law enforcement were paying their respects today.
Our Rachel Perry spoke with some of those people who still wanted to offer some condolences. Rachel, what did we learn from them?
Yeah, it was truly amazing and emotional to see just how many of those people showed up today. Like we've been saying all morning, thousands of people and law enforcement gathered here at the fairgrounds, some who didn't even know the deputies. Now we could see dozens of state troopers, local law enforcement, and officers from all over the state lining the parking lots, along with what looks to be hundreds of motorcycles, each one coming to honor and pay their respects to the loved ones of the Palm Beach County Sheriff Deputy Ignacio Dan Diaz, Corporal Luis Paez, and Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller. Law enforcement weren't the only people who showed up, though, with all 3 fallen deputies being in the motor unit. We caught up with a few members of the biker community.
It's part of being a brother. They ride 2 wheels no matter what colors they wear, blue, white, yellow, green. They're brothers, you understand? So we are out here to support our brothers and sisters who ride motorcycles, you understand? That's what the community is all about.
Now, earlier this morning at the procession, we heard from a former police officer watching as the deputies' bodies were being escorted. His emotional response coming up tonight at 5. But for now, live in Palm Beach County, Rachel Perry, WPBF 25 News.
Well, support is coming in for the families of the deputies. We've learned the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Foundation is giving $60,000 to the families of the fallen deputies.
If you're interested in donating to the families, we've included a link to do so on our website. You can also watch the memorial service in its entirety at WPBF.com or our Facebook and YouTube pages.